I'm Olivia McGreevy with 88.3 The Sting, and today I am joined by the Sublets. How are you guys doing today?
Great!
Awesome.
Yay! Hello.
Turning up a little bit.
I am so excited to have them here. They are actually a Cleveland-based band. So first, if you guys don't mind introducing yourself and telling our listeners where you're from.
Yeah, we're from all around Cleveland, really. I'm from South Side. I'm
West
George.
Side.
That's George.
Daniel's West Side.
West Side Cleveland.
Westside Cleveland here. Stefan. Hi.
And then would you mind just telling everybody what you do in the band as well?
I'm the drummer.
I play bass.
I play guitar and I sing.
How did you guys form this band and how long have you guys been doing this together?
We met in 2017 and had a couple of jam sessions, and it clicked pretty well, but we didn't play our first show until 2018. So it's funny because some people say that we started in 17, some people say we started in 18. The Sublets technically got its name in 18, so but we knew each other and we would jam and stuff in 17. And yeah, and that was just kind of I had a bunch of projects that I was working on, and a bunch of songs that I knew I wanted to get a band around. And I messed around with a couple different musicians, and we tried some stuff, and it was cool. I mean, there was met a lot of really great, talented people. But these two had been playing in other bands for like 20 years and just had such a great chemistry. And so when we got in a room together and we started making noise, and it was like, oh, this feels really good. And that was it. We just kind of kept doing it. We haven't quit yet. So yeah.
Is music something you guys always knew you wanted to do? And how long have you guys kind of been doing music yourselves?
Oh my gosh. I was really young. I was like 9 years old when I started playing drums. So music has always been, you could call me, I guess what they say, a lifer. That's just what I do, you know? So music is everything for me. Yeah. So
Yep. Likewise, I started playing at 12 and knew immediately. We've been playing ever since.
Yeah, I actually just found some videos, some home footage of me before I could actually play guitar, but I was holding my brother's guitar and like making silly music videos to early 90s rock and punk songs like Offspring and Green Day and stuff. And I always knew like I could play bass at a young age. I grew up playing piano first, but I knew I always wanted to perform. And it wasn't until I heard Dookie, and that was like the first time that, you know, I'm an adolescent kid, hormones are going through my body. I hear distorted guitar. I see, you know, like concerts on TV and stuff. And I'm like, that is what I want to do. And that was it.
Who are some of your inspirations and where do you guys kind of pull from when you're making music?
it's across the board for me. Oh man. Well, like I said, I've been playing since I'm 9 years old. Like I've just done a bunch of things. You could go from rock and roll to heavy metal to soul to R&B to. I played in punk rock bands though early on, so coming into this spot with the Sublets, it's really natural because just love for punk rock music, but it's across the board for me as far as loving and appreciating music.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing. I grew up playing organ. I said piano earlier, but it was technically an organ, but I played it like it was a piano. But teaching myself Phantom of the Opera. And that was really the first piece of music or first piece of art that I ever really fell in love with. So I learned all the Phantom of the Opera songs, and then I got into obviously Green Day, but everything from like Garth Brooks to Backstreet Boys to huge Celine Dion fan, like stuff. And my parents grew up listening to a lot of stuff from the 50s and 60s. So I was listening to a lot of like Patsy Cline and Buddy Holly. And then my sister listened to a lot of like Richard Marx and George Michael and Cyndi Lauper. And so I just kind of had this whole wealth of influences and stuff as I was growing up. But I mean, like I said, it's pretty clear when you listen to our music, like it's a lot of those 90s punk bands for me. You know, and obviously Green Day's probably the biggest one, but I mean, Blink, Offspring, MXPX, Gob. I mean, there's just so many bands that were in the 90s and early 2000s that were just so I don't know, influential on what it was that I was doing and wanted to do.
Yeah, I've listened to so many and played so much different genres that nowadays I don't even try to figure out where inspiration comes from. Mainly I'm thinking about the type of project I'm in and that I'm playing, at least in the family of what's appropriate for that style of music. And probably just naturally, whatever my style is will be in there somewhere, but for the most part, I'm just trying to play. Mostly what I listen to is probably groove-based music, you know, from funk to R&B to hip hop to some rock that's very groove-based, and it's wherever it comes from, and just hopefully it's appropriate for the song that we're playing. So far, I've had no complaints. So.
But would you mind telling our listeners about Finally Free, maybe where you guys got the inspiration or the meaning behind the song?
Sure. It was actually one of the first songs I ever wrote 100 years ago. I'd written a couple others, but they were like ska songs and, you know, whatever. And then this was the first one that I really was like, you know, I knew I wanted distorted guitar, and I knew I wanted to play something that just felt, I don't know, like a little anthemic, a little, I don't know. I wanted this one to, you know, maybe not necessarily have a traditional chorus. I just wanted it, like I could imagine people cheering or chanting the Let Me Goes. And when I put the song together, it was like, it was kind of one of those moments where you start playing guitar and you start singing and you start writing the lyrics and everything's happening so fast. I mean, the song itself was probably written in like 25 minutes. And it just felt like somebody was working through me, and it almost felt like I was writing a cover or like something else, because the song came so naturally. And you know, but I was a 17 or 18-year-old kid and had just gone through some heartache, and I was feeling very it was one of those weird things where like she was moving on and I wasn't, and so I was thinking, I'm like, man, you know, I like the way we were, she likes the way we are. And like it was a very like stream of consciousness kind of writing. And then I just honed in some lyrics and some other stuff. And I don't know, it just kind of was one of those moments where I was just felt like, you know, I got that inspiration and put it down and then crafted it a little bit more later. The original one had a little bit more fat on it, a little bit more musical breaks and some other stuff. And I kind of tightened a lot of that stuff up over the years. But yeah, that song is 21 years old or so. And what's cool is our music video kind of pays homage to that. So if you watch the music video, you can see, and we actually just put out a version of that video of me performing that song like in 2001 or 2004. But it switches between that footage from 2001 and 2004, and then actually the House of Blues footage. And so it's kind of cool to like, you know, put those together, because it's essentially the same song. I mean, yeah, we tightened some stuff up, but it's the same song. But the official music video, I wanted to show a lot of that footage, because like the song, like the house that we walk through in the music video is the basement where it was written. And, you know, to me, this was just kind of a homecoming of sorts, of like, you know, to come back to this house and go to this basement where the song was written, and just kind of feel that energy one more time. And yeah, and it ended up being the music video.
Also noticed that you guys just released a cover of AC/DC's Highway to Hell as part of the Cleveland Versus charity album. So can you tell us about that project and how you guys got involved?
Yeah, we saw an ad on Instagram and thought it was a great cause, and thought that you know, anytime you can get art and specifically for us, music behind a great cause, you know, something like human trafficking or stopping human trafficking, not continuing, obviously, whatever. But you know, when you get art behind a good cause like that, like it just feels like a no-brainer, especially, you know, there were a lot of other Cleveland's got there's some sections of Cleveland music where, you know, sometimes people don't play shows together because they don't either have the same musical tastes, or sometimes, you know, they don't like each other or whatever. But you get a project like this and all of a sudden it's like everybody kind of forgets all that bull crap and is like, nope, we are getting together and we are, doing this thing for a great cause. And it just kind of felt right. And AC/DC is one of those kind of iconic, straightforward rock bands that, we're like, man, this is, in a lot of ways, we're doing the same thing they were doing. Obviously they're doing a little bit bigger scale, and more guitar solos and stuff like that, but it's still effectively, it's good fashion, good old fashioned rock and roll. And it just kind of felt right that we should, throw our hat in the ring and do something for that.
I don't know, you guys have a song coming out next week or a couple weeks from now at the end of this month, right? You have a single coming out?
Yep. Yeah, it's up.
Yes. And what can your fans expect to see and hear from that project?
It's one of those songs that we kind of wrote in a, I had this bass riff in my head, or this bass rhythm thing that I was just kind of bouncing on, and it was what ended up being the verse. And well, I guess the whole song is kind of essentially the same, isn't it? Anyway, sorry. But it effectively, it started as a verse, and we were like, okay, how would we sing over this? What would we do? And then we just kind of, that song was one of those where like, we beat it up a bunch because we were like, man, we could do this and that. And at the end of it, we're like, I hate the fact that I say up so many times in the chorus. I hate that, it doesn't really go anywhere. Like there were things that I hated about it because I was like, oh, I need to do this or that. Like the artistic side of me wanted to. And then as I kind of set it down for a little bit and came back to it, I was like, man, there's a beauty in it just being what it is. And calling the song Up is kind of this great thing where it's like, yeah, I do say up in the chorus because it is about standing up against, some of the things that are unfair or unjust in the world. It is about, community and being together and lifting each other up. And it just kind of, as we kind of left it on the shelf for a couple months to kind of, work on some other stuff and came back to it, it was like, no, this really does have a lot of meaning to it, and just let it be what it is and don't try to make it too fancy or overthink things. I hate when we get too clever or people get too clever in songs, when sometimes it's like, no, that should, this is what it should be. And we'll let the audience decide if it's good or not. I mean, and again, like art is obviously so subjective, but like when I say good, like we'll find out if it's well received. We'll find, we could say, oh, it's a great song, it's perfect. But if nobody ever listens to it, then as an artist, you're not connecting with the crowd or with the audience. And, it's kind of up to them if they want to connect with it or not.
Are there any projects or anything that your listeners should be keeping an eye out for?
I mean, we're hoping to drop an EP in November. There's some stuff that has to get done before paternity leave, which I think we'll get it all wrapped up. But then we want to finish all the mixing and mastering and stuff during leave. And then we've got our next single is going to be done and released in September. I'm sorry, September. A month that ends in R. And then, yeah, we want to drop the EP in November. And then, do a bunch of shows and support and stuff there. But then one of the other things we got going is we all kind of play in different bands. And so there's another artist named Shayla Hope that these guys play with. And she's got a bunch of stuff coming out, and she's a phenomenal pop singer, phenomenal person in general. And then on top of that, we've got a cool web series called Happy Hour Sessions, where basically we bring in a musician, we sit down, we have some drinks, and we write a song together over the course of like 3 hours. And we get to know each other and get to, turns into like an interview show. But while we're writing songs and drinking, and it's hysterical. But we got 4 episodes of that out. You can go to happyhoursessions.com. Go to all the, social medias and stuff. We're all Happy Hour Sessions everywhere. And we got 4 episodes out and more coming. I think we got like 17 filmed. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep putting them out weekly. And we got some new ones being filmed as well over the next few months. We got stuff lined up to keep them getting filmed and keep them getting out. But it's a lot of local talent. Everybody from, huge like Cleveland musicians like Ray Flanagan, Taylor Lamborn, Michael McFarland, Jewel Big Green. I mean, just there are so many amazing artists that have been part of this that I've been so humbled to, write a song with, and it's been really awesome.
Now, where can our listeners follow you and make sure that they don't miss any updates or projects or anything like that?
We're pretty much the Sublets everywhere, or the Sublets band, or you can go to the Sublets music, the subletsband.com. I should really learn our website. But really go to Spotify, go to Facebook, go anywhere, just type in the Sublets, and we're pretty much the only idiots who picked that name. So you're not gonna find too many other bands or artistic acts under that name. But yeah, that's it. Pretty much type in the Sublets anywhere and you'll come and find us. But yeah, we encourage people to please come say hey, whether it's on social media, whether it's whatever, or like come to a show and talk to us afterwards. We love, or before. We love hanging out, love, getting to see people. But for a long time, we tried to, just stay in the green room and like give the best performance on stage we could give. And that just felt so sterile. Like we liked being with the crowd and talking with people beforehand. And it becomes such a great party.
Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed talking with you, and we'll keep up with everything you got coming out.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks, Olivia.